Intuitive Reads with Miss Jane Says. This is the worry trick. Intuitive. What needs to be addressed in this collective? Let's suppose that instead of simply wanting to get through a scary movie that you previously found very upsetting, you wanted to get to a point where you could watch it without feeling any strong emotion. I don't know why you'd want that, but if that were your ambition, how could you get to the point where the movie didn't bother you so much? The answer won't involve anything like those steps that people take to get through a scary movie. Those steps maintain the fear by struggling to keep it at bay. That's okay with a scary movie. It's okay to get through a scary movie because it's a very small, incidental part of your life. One you can leave behind when the show is over. However, worry can become a big part of life, and struggling to simply get through life itself is not a strategy. It's a tragedy. The answer that occurs to me is that the most reliable way to drain a scary movie of the fear, to make it kind of tedious rather than fearsome, would be to watch that movie again and again. You could rent the DVD or whatever technology is now current and view it over and over and over, not skipping the scary parts, not turning off the scary sound, but rather immersing yourself in it again and again. You need to have a strong motive to do this because you feel unpleasantly afraid during the first several viewings. But do you have any doubt if you watched it this way often enough, that it would gradually lose its ability to scare you? After all, this is what naturally happens even to people who are fans of scary movies. A new scary movie will come out. You'll see the movie several times, and after a number of viewings, he no longer derives as much scary pleasure as he used to. And sooner or later, a new scary movie becomes his favorite. The old favorite becomes boring and with repetition. That's what we want to do with the chronic worry. Make it more boring and less upsetting. How can you start doing that? It says putting out fires with gasoline and the rule of opposites. One thing to say for any internal confirmations. For one thing, thinking objectively about your thoughts is quite difficult, maybe impossible, because the tool you use to evaluate your thoughts, your brain, is the same tool that's created them in the first place. For another, your efforts to evaluate and correct your worrisome thoughts will often produce a kind of internal arguing with your thoughts, rather than the calm resolution that you originally hoped for. If you find that these limitations hamper your efforts to reduce chronic worry with cognitive restructuring, you might find more relief with the techniques of cognitive diffusion, working with rather than against the key words and thoughts of your chronic worry, particularly in a playful, humorous manner, may well give you better results than efforts to rationalize and correct the content of your worries. 1. Is there a problem that exists now in the external world around you? And 2. If there is, can you do something to change it now? Set up appointments for worrying. Fight fire with fire. Isn't just a metaphor. It's a technique used to control forest fires. It involves deliberately burning all the flammable material that would otherwise fuel the fire in its spread. When the forest fire arrives at the burned out part, it falters because it has no fuel left to keep it burning. Resistance is the fuel by which chronic worry spreads. During a worry appointment, which will last about 10 minutes, you'll engage in pure worry. Devote your full attention to worrying and nothing else. Don't engage in other activities like driving, showering, eating, cleaning, texting, listening to music, riding on a train, and so on. Spend the full 10 minutes worrying about whatever items you usually worry about. Make a list of your worries ahead of time so you have an agenda. Or use the list you developed in Chapter 9. And don't try to solve problems. Reassure yourself, minimize problems, relax, clear your mind, reason with yourself, or take any other steps to stop worrying. Simply worry, which means reciting repetitively lots of what-if questions about unpleasant possibilities. This will probably seem strange and awkward at first. However, if you're reading this book, you'll likely have lots of experience with worry. Here's a chance to use the experience for your benefit. Why would anyone do this? This is Intuitive Reads with Miss Jane Says. Much love.